Today I'm with Chris Floyd from FNC Corporation, and he is the first Scrum Master in this organization, and I wanted to interview him about how implementing Scrum has been in the organization. So, the first question I want to ask is, how receptive have people been to the new Scrum processes?
After the team was defined and we had the team on board and starting the Scrum process, in the beginning it was not great. But then later on, the team accepted it very well, but other members of the company still had a little problem accepting the new process. So outside of the team, difficult. Inside the team, no issues at all.
Good. So what have been the biggest resistance areas?
The biggest resistance area that we have here is the non-ability or non-permission of adding an item in the middle of a sprint. Something comes up, they want to add it in the sprint, but it can't be.
So traditionally, anytime that you add a customer asks for something, you just added it because the customer asked for it.
Just added it.
So now the ability that you may not do it, or the ability to say no, that's tough.
Yes, very tough.
Okay. So estimating is often looked at as an obstacle for people because they have to estimate on demand how big is this user story. Has that been a problem?
Yes. In the beginning, the estimates were really far off, and I think it had to do with the teams being siloed from each other. So now that the team is together and we can discuss it together, we can see that items that are easy for dev may not be easy in QA, or vice versa. So the team is learning to estimate better the more they work together. But in the beginning, we were always over what we estimated.
Okay. That really is a skill to develop over time, good estimating. So a common problem for people moving from traditional development that is siloed, right, that you have dev and you have QA, is this idea of being cross-functional.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes a lot of individuals nervous about, well, does that mean that I have to write code, or does that mean that a developer is going to have to start doing black box testing? How have people been about the idea of being cross-functional?
It took a couple of months before people bought into the process of this is a team effort, so let's jump in and help each other out. And now it's more collaborative, and people will work with cross-functionally in different groups to get the item out on time. So no resistance to that at all.
Good. All right. So when you took on the role of Scrum Master, what was the part of Scrum that you had the biggest problem with?
The biggest problem that I have with Scrum, being Scrum Master, is to get the chickens to not talk. The chickens want to cluck and cluck and cluck all the time. So sometimes you may have to leave a chicken out to teach them a lesson.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough because they're the managers, they're the bosses, they're the clients, the customers. It's tough to keep them out. So retrospectives are very necessary for success at Scrum, for process improvement, for good communication, for team happiness, for a variety of reasons. How have the retrospectives gone?
The retrospectives have actually gone well from the very beginning. People didn't have an outlet to explain the frustrations between groups and the reasons why they were upset about something. This is an outlet for people to get all of that out of their system and work more effectively with people. And the team is learning about each other and like, oh, I didn't know that bothered you. You should have said something. And yeah, we need to really fix this problem so that we don't run into this issue again. So the ability to look back on what we did wrong and what we did right and decide changes as a group puts everybody on the same page, and I think the retrospectives are probably the best thing that has happened for Scrum here at FNC.
Oh, that's great. That's good to hear. How have the initial planning sessions gone? Because sometimes that sprint planning session can be a problem.
Yeah, in the beginning, the sprint planning sessions went not so well because I couldn't get people to brainstorm about the user story and think outside of what was being told for them to do. Like, this is what I need you to do. That's the way we operate in the past. I want you to do this. So they go and do it. Now they have the option of, this is what we want. help me to decide how to make this happen. So to get people used to that type of mentality and thought was more difficult, but it's much, much better now. I still would like them to brainstorm and think a little deeper than where they're thinking now, but you can nudge them and give them hints. Don't cluck to them, but drive them in the right direction to let them think a little bit more.
Good.
About what's going on.
Good. So, if you wished you'd done something different from the start, that you had implemented something different, or implemented it differently, or rolled it out differently, or changed a practice, and you had it to do all over again, what would you change about how you implemented Scrum?
The first thing that I would have do is ask the company to send every Scrum team member to training. Definitely. The training to overcome the hurdle of not knowing anything about it in the beginning, along with the new process and still having the same amount of work, if not more, was, I think, sort of harmed the process. Other than that, I think that we should have looked at some other software technologies that are available for Scrum and chosen which one was a best fit for our company.
So, software technology is like a tool, like an organizational tool, a monitoring tool,
right?
An ALM tool,
right?
An ALM tool. Okay,
correct.
All right. So, if you have any advice to people who are new to Scrum or people who are about to start rolling Scrum out in their organization, what would that advice be?
Don't expect an overnight success. This is a continuous learning process. It gets better over time. It may get worse in some sprints, but you learn from that. But it's not a flip the switch on, now we're doing Scrum. You have to be patient.
That's great. Wow. Valuable lessons from the road.
Yes.
Thank you, Chris. This has been really beneficial.
Thank you very much.